Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Stoic Sage, your guide to mastering life with wisdom, resilience, and the timeless principles of Stoicism. The complete history of Marcus Aurelius, philosopher-king and Stoic leader. Marcus Aurelius is one of the most revered figures in ancient history, remembered not only for his role as the Roman emperor, but also for his contributions as a Stoic philosopher. His life, leadership, and writings have left a lasting legacy, influencing both the fields of philosophy and governance. Known as the last of the five good emperors, his reign was marked by military conflict, internal political struggles, and personal introspection, all of which shaped his legacy. This comprehensive history of Marcus Aurelius explores his life, philosophy, rule, and how his personal reflections continue to resonate in the modern world. 1. Early life and background, birth and family. Marcus Aurelius was born on April 26, 121 CE in Rome to a prominent aristocratic family. His full name was Marcus Aurelius Antoninus Augustus, and he was the last of the five good emperors in Rome. His father, Marcus Annius Verus, was a senator, and his mother, Domitia Lucilla, came from a wealthy family. He was born into an environment of privilege, yet his upbringing was marked by discipline and education, with an emphasis on virtue, a core element of Stoic philosophy. Education and early influences. From a young age, Marcus Aurelius showed an interest in philosophy. He was tutored by some of the most respected thinkers of his time, including the philosopher Junius Rusticus, who introduced him to Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius also studied rhetoric, law, and Greek philosophy, and was particularly drawn to the teachings of Epictetus, a former slave turned Stoic philosopher. His deep philosophical studies laid the groundwork for his later reflections and actions as emperor. Second ascension to the throne. The death of Hadrian and the adoption of Marcus Aurelius. Marcus's path to the throne began when Emperor Hadrian adopted his cousin, Antoninus Pius, as his successor. In a gesture that would further define his future, Antoninus Pius adopted Marcus Aurelius as his son, alongside Lucius Verus, who would later become his co-emperor. Upon the death of Antoninus Pius in 161 CE, Marcus and Lucius Verus became co-emperors, with Marcus assuming the primary leadership role. Co-emperor with Lucius Verus. The partnership with Lucius Verus was initially a collaborative effort, but Lucius's reign was marred by his lack of interest in governance and his indulgence in luxury. Marcus, on the other hand, remained deeply committed to his duties, and his Stoic principles guided him through the challenges of leadership. The relationship between the two emperors was one of balance, with Marcus overseeing the empire's internal affairs and Lucius dealing with military campaigns. Third reign as emperor, military challenges and wars. One of the defining aspects of Marcus Aurelius's reign was his military leadership. Early in his rule, the empire faced significant external threats, particularly from the Parthian Empire in the east and Germanic tribes in the north. In 162 CE, Marcus and Lucius Verus embarked on a military campaign against the Parthians, which was largely successful, though it marked the beginning of Marcus's long and demanding military involvement. The Marcomannic Wars. From 166 to 180 CE, Marcus was embroiled in the Marcomannic Wars, a series of conflicts with various Germanic tribes on the northern borders of the Roman Empire. These wars were especially challenging as they required Marcus to lead military campaigns from the front, often far from Rome. Despite suffering personal losses, such as the death of his co-emperor Lucius Verus in 169 CE, Marcus demonstrated resilience and dedication to his role as emperor, maintaining the stability of the empire through military strategy and diplomatic efforts. Plague and internal struggles. During the later years of his reign, the Roman Empire faced a devastating plague, which significantly affected the population. The Antonine Plague, as it is known, led to widespread death and economic decline. While dealing with the ravages of the plague, Marcus also had to contend with political challenges and uprisings, including the rebellious actions of various provinces. Despite these hardships, his leadership kept the empire from crumbling, showing his adaptability and strength in the face of crisis. Fourth, Stoic philosophy and personal reflections. Adherence to Stoicism. Unlike many rulers who sought power for personal gain or indulgence, Marcus Aurelius embraced Stoicism as both a philosophical and practical guide to life. He was deeply influenced by the teachings of Epictetus and the Stoic principle of accepting what one cannot change while working to improve oneself and the world around them. His commitment to virtue, wisdom, and self-control helped him navigate the challenges of ruling an empire and dealing with personal suffering. Meditations. One of the most enduring legacies of Marcus Aurelius is his work, Meditations, a collection of personal writings that he composed during his military campaigns. Originally intended as a private reflection, these writings are now considered one of the most important Stoic texts. Meditations is filled with Marcus's thoughts on ethics, leadership, self-discipline, and the nature of life. In it, he often wrestles with questions of fate, mortality, and how to act justly and wisely in the face of adversity. His reflections emphasize the importance of humility, virtue, and rationality. The Stoic leader. Marcus Aurelius is often seen as the ideal Stoic leader, someone who ruled not with ego or desires for fame, but with a focus on duty, moral integrity, and the welfare of the state. His philosophy shaped how he governed, emphasizing fairness, discipline, and a constant striving for personal improvement. Despite the power of his position, he sought to live a simple life, grounded in his Stoic values. 5. Challenges and personal struggles. Health and family tragedies. Throughout his reign, Marcus Aurelius faced numerous personal challenges. His health was often poor, suffering from illnesses that plagued him throughout his life. In addition, his family life was marked by tragedy, including the death of his beloved wife, Faustina the Younger, and several of his children. His son, Commodus, whom Marcus Aurelius had hoped would carry on his legacy, proved to be a controversial figure, as his rule became marked by excess and cruelty, a sharp contrast to his father's philosophical ideals. The burden of leadership. As emperor, Marcus Aurelius experienced the weight of leadership during a time of great upheaval. While his philosophical outlook helped him manage the external pressures of war, plague, and political unrest, it also made him acutely aware of the limitations and uncertainties of life. His reflections and meditations reveal a deep awareness of the ephemeral nature of power, success, and even human existence, as well as the importance of enduring hardship with dignity and grace. 6. Death and legacy. Death and succession. Marcus Aurelius passed away on March 17, 180 CE, after ruling for nearly 2 decades. His death marked the end of an era, as he was the last of the 5 good emperors, a term used to describe the 5 emperors, Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, and Marcus Aurelius, who were known for their just and effective rule. Following his death, his son Commodus succeeded him, but his reign was a stark contrast to that of his father. The philosophical legacy. The philosophical ideas of Marcus Aurelius, particularly as expressed in Meditations, continue to influence modern thought. His Stoic reflections on the nature of life, leadership, and self-improvement are timeless, offering guidance on how to live with integrity, resilience, and purpose. His life as a ruler dedicated to the well-being of the state and his commitment to virtue over wealth or power remain a model for leaders and individuals alike. The philosopher-king archetype. Marcus Aurelius is often regarded as the epitome of the philosopher-king, a concept introduced by Plato in his Republic. Marcus exemplified the ideal ruler who governed not by personal ambition, but by the wisdom and virtue cultivated through philosophy. His reign demonstrated that philosophy and leadership are not mutually exclusive, but can complement one another to create a just and prosperous society. 7. Political philosophy and governance. Philosopher, king in practice. As a ruler, Marcus Aurelius was deeply committed to the idea of ruling justly and impartially, which he drew from Stoic teachings. For him, leadership was not about power for its own sake, but a responsibility to govern with virtue and wisdom for the good of the people. Unlike other rulers who sought glory or conquest, Marcus sought peace, stability, and the welfare of his citizens. He often sought counsel from philosophers and statesmen, believing that wisdom was a key element of governance. This principle of philosopher-king is reflected in the way he made decisions and sought harmony across the Roman Empire. Legal reforms under Marcus Aurelius, significant legal reforms were carried out, including laws aimed at protecting slaves from mistreatment, improving the rights of women, and ensuring fairer judicial practices. He worked on making the legal system more humane and aligned with Stoic ideas of justice, advocating for a legal framework that provided protections for the weak while ensuring accountability for those in power. His reign brought greater clarity and consistency to Roman law, demonstrating his commitment to rational governance. 8. Relationship with the Senate and political challenges, navigating Senate relations. While Marcus Aurelius was highly respected by the Senate, his relationship with the Roman Senate was complex. The Senate played a critical role in governance, but it was often divided, with some senators focusing on personal power and others genuinely interested in the empire's well-being. As a Stoic, Marcus was determined to preserve the Senate's role and avoid autocracy, but he also knew when to assert imperial power for the empire's stability. Challenges from the Senate and rivalries. One of the challenges Marcus faced was the growing political fragmentation within the Senate. While most senators respected his wisdom, some saw his leadership style as an impediment to their own power ambitions. Marcus, however, had a keen understanding of the political dynamics within the Senate and often used tact and patience to quell dissent, ensuring the functioning of the Roman government. His governance was marked by a careful balancing act between Stoic principles and the practical demands of ruling a vast empire. The role of family in Marcus Aurelius's life. Marcus's family values. Despite his heavy responsibilities as emperor, Marcus Aurelius was a family man deeply devoted to his wife, Faustina the Younger, and their children. His relationship with Faustina was one of deep affection, and he was devastated by her death in 175 CE. Marcus's familial values are also reflected in his writing, particularly in his meditations, where he frequently mentions his gratitude to his father, his teachers, and his family for their influence on his development. Fatherhood and Commodus. Perhaps the most tragic and complex aspect of Marcus's life was his relationship with his son Commodus. While Marcus hoped that Commodus would inherit his Stoic principles and leadership qualities, the young emperor proved to be a disastrous ruler. Commodus's reign was marked by cruelty, corruption, and indulgence in excess, and he ultimately led the empire into a period of decline. Marcus's failure to instill Stoic values in his son remains one of the more poignant and tragic elements of his legacy. However, his reflections on his son and meditations also show a sense of acceptance and philosophical resignation, demonstrating his commitment to Stoic ideals even in the face of personal heartbreak. 10th, Marcus Aurelius's legacy in the context of Roman history. The decline of the Roman Empire. Marcus Aurelius's reign marked the zenith of the Roman Empire in terms of territorial expansion and power. However, the last years of his rule also saw the first signs of the empire's decline. The Marcomannic Wars, though successful, drained the empire's resources and weakened its military. Meanwhile, the Antonine Plague devastated the population, weakening the empire's social and economic structures. His death in 180 CE ushered in a period of instability, as his son Commodus's reign saw a marked shift in imperial governance and the beginning of the empire's gradual decline. However, Marcus's contributions to Roman law, administration, and his personal character as a philosopher-king remain influential to this day. Philosophical influence on Rome. Marcus Aurelius's philosophy had a lasting impact on Roman society and later thinkers. His adherence to Stoicism, in particular, influenced the development of Roman thought in the centuries that followed. His ideas about self-control, duty, and the impermanence of life became central to Roman moral philosophy, and his writings were widely read by later Roman thinkers such as Seneca and the Emperor Julian. Moreover, Marcus's ethical principles continued to inspire Renaissance philosophers and modern thinkers who saw in Stoicism a path toward personal excellence and resilience in the face of adversity. 11. Marcus Aurelius and the development of Western thought influence on early Christianity. While Marcus Aurelius himself was not a Christian, His Stoic philosophy influenced early Christian thought, particularly the teachings of humility, self-restraint, and virtue. Some scholars argue that certain ideas in early Christian writings, particularly those of St. Paul, show parallels with Marcus's Stoic reflections on fate, suffering, and divine providence. Christianity and Stoicism shared common moral ground, such as the importance of ethics in daily life, the focus on inner peace, and the role of providence in guiding human lives. Resurgence of Stoicism in the modern era. In the 21st century, Stoicism has experienced a resurgence, particularly in the fields of self-help, leadership, and psychology. Thinkers like Ryan Holiday, author of The Obstacle is the Way, have popularized Marcus Aurelius's Meditations as a guide for modern living. His teachings are often applied to overcome adversity, manage stress, and lead with virtue in both personal and professional spheres. His legacy continues to be a beacon for those seeking to live a life guided by rationality, inner peace, and a commitment to moral excellence. 12. The timeless wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. Meditations as a guide for self-improvement. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations are more than just a collection of philosophical reflections. They are a manual for living a virtuous life. Written in a time of war, plague, and personal sorrow, Meditations offers practical advice on how to handle challenges with grace, how to stay true to one's principles, and how to foster a sense of purpose in the face of adversity. His reflections on the fleeting nature of life, the importance of self-discipline, and the need to act justly resonate with people across time periods and cultures. Enduring relevance. The Stoic principles embodied in Meditations are particularly valuable in today's fast-paced, stress-driven world. The emphasis on focusing on what is within one's control, the importance of resilience in the face of difficulty, and the practice of regular self-examination are all essential components of modern mental wellness practices. Marcus's commitment to living according to nature and reason, and his reminder to live each day with intention, continues to inspire individuals seeking peace in an often chaotic world. 13th conclusion, Marcus Aurelius's philosophical and political enduring legacy. Marcus Aurelius's reign as emperor and his philosophical contributions leave a multifaceted legacy that stretches far beyond the confines of ancient Rome. His life as a philosopher-king, grounded in Stoic principles, offers a profound example of how leadership can be exercised with integrity, wisdom, and a focus on virtue rather than personal gain. As a father, he experienced the heartache of seeing his hopes for his son fall short. Yet his reflections on such personal struggles show a man who strove to live virtuously in all circumstances. The lessons of Marcus Aurelius continue to guide those seeking to lead lives of moral excellence, resilience, and self-control, and his Meditations remains a timeless guide for personal growth and philosophical reflection. In the context of Roman history, Marcus Aurelius's reign stands as a pinnacle of ethical leadership in an empire that was beginning to show signs of decline. His wisdom transcends his time, and his legacy is carried forward by those who seek to emulate his balanced approach to life, leadership, and philosophy. Whether in governance, personal development, or navigating the complexities of life's challenges, Marcus Aurelius's Stoic teachings offer a path to achieving clarity, virtue, and an inner peace, even in the face of adversity. 14. Marcus Aurelius and the Roman Empire's political landscape. Roman Empire at the time of Marcus's ascension. When Marcus Aurelius came to the throne, the Roman Empire was at its peak. The empire spanned vast territories, from Britain in the west to Mesopotamia in the east, from the Danube in the north to Egypt in the south. However, by the time of Marcus's ascension in 161 CE, the empire had already begun to experience internal and external pressures that would test its stability in the coming years. The role of the military in Roman governance. Military power played a central role in Roman politics, and Marcus Aurelius's reign was no exception. Roman emperors often depended on military support to maintain their position, and the loyalty of the legions was vital. Marcus's campaigns in the Marcomannic Wars, as well as his handling of the Parthian threat, showcased his ability to balance military strategy with his philosophical approach to governance. Despite the military pressures, he sought to preserve Rome's reputation and uphold its honor without succumbing to the excesses and vanity that other emperors might have embraced. Economic and social challenges. The latter years of Marcus Aurelius's reign were marked by economic hardship caused by prolonged warfare in the Antonine Plague. These hardships strained the resources of the empire and affected its social fabric. Marcus was deeply aware of the suffering caused by these events, and his leadership remained focused on preserving stability through wise governance. He issued various reforms to help mitigate the crisis, including financial measures to stabilize the empire's economy and provisions to ensure the welfare of Rome's population. 15. Marcus Aurelius and the development of Stoic philosophy. The philosophical context. The Stoic philosophy, which became central to Marcus Aurelius's life, was founded by Zeno of Citium in the 3rd century BCE. By the time of Marcus, Stoicism had already evolved into a well-established school of thought, with prominent Stoic philosophers such as Epictetus, Seneca, and Cleanthes contributing to its growth. Stoicism teaches the importance of living in accordance with nature, focusing on what is within one's control, and accepting what cannot be changed with grace and rationality. Marcus as a student of Epictetus. Marcus Aurelius's Stoicism was heavily influenced by Epictetus, a former slave-turned-philosopher. Epictetus taught that virtue, rather than wealth, status, or power, was the key to living a fulfilling life. His teachings focused on the idea that external events are beyond our control, but we can control our reactions to them. Marcus took these teachings to heart, using them as a guide to govern the empire and manage the personal challenges he faced. In his meditations, Marcus regularly reflects on the core Stoic principle of focusing on the present moment and accepting life as it is, rather than yearning for things beyond one's control. The influence of Stoicism on Roman thought. Under Marcus Aurelius, Stoic principles became deeply embedded in Roman governance. The Roman elite, particularly the emperors, were heavily influenced by Stoic thought, with many incorporating it into their political strategies. The Stoic emphasis on duty, discipline, and moral responsibility was especially relevant to rulers like Marcus, who saw themselves as servants of the state, bound by the ethical demands of their position. This approach to leadership allowed for a more rational and measured response to crises, as seen in Marcus's management of the Marcomannic Wars and the Antonine Plague. 16. The symbolism of the Philosopher-King. Philosopher-King ideal in practice. The notion of the Philosopher-King, as articulated by Plato in his Republic, found a living example in Marcus Aurelius. Plato argued that the ideal ruler should be one who governs not for personal gain, but guided by wisdom, virtue, and a deep understanding of justice. Marcus Aurelius's reign exemplified this ideal, as he demonstrated the rare combination of intellectual depth, moral integrity, and political acumen required to rule an empire. His Stoic philosophy shaped his approach to leadership, with an emphasis on justice, fairness, and duty above all else. The challenges of a philosopher-king. The title of Philosopher-King implies a ruler who is deeply committed to wisdom and ethics, but it also carries immense responsibility. Marcus Aurelius's life was full of personal and political challenges, which tested his resolve as a philosopher-king. The external threats from the Germanic tribes, the Parthian Empire, and the plague, as well as internal political struggles and familial challenges, meant that Marcus had to confront a world that often ran contrary to Stoic ideals. Yet through these trials, he remained steadfast in his commitment to rule with virtue, putting the needs of the empire above personal desires. 17. Marcus Aurelius's relationship with religion. Religious context of the Roman Empire. Religion played an important role in Roman life, and emperors were often seen as divine or semi-divine figures. Marcus Aurelius himself, however, was less concerned with personal divinity than many of his predecessors. His philosophy emphasized reason and rationality, and while he respected the religious traditions of Rome, his primary focus was on moral and ethical conduct. He believed in a divine order to the universe, which he often referred to as the Logos in his writings, but he did not elevate the emperor to the status of a god as some other rulers had done. Marcus's approach to religion. As a Stoic, Marcus viewed the universe as governed by divine reason or natural law. In his meditations, he reflects on the interconnectedness of all things and the role of humans within the divine plan. His beliefs aligned with Stoic cosmology, which saw the universe as an ordered, rational system where everything had a purpose. Marcus practiced a form of reverence for the divine order, but his spiritual approach was more philosophical than religious in the traditional Roman sense. While he performed his religious duties as an emperor, including participating in state-sponsored rituals, his personal spirituality was grounded in Stoic ideas about the universe and the role of virtue in achieving harmony with nature. 18. Marcus Aurelius's relationship with the people of Rome. Public perception and popularity. Marcus Aurelius was widely admired by the Roman populace for his virtues as an emperor. He sought to maintain peace within the empire and worked tirelessly to protect the welfare of the citizens. Despite the challenges he faced, his reign is often remembered for its stability, even in the face of major crises. His philosophical outlook shaped his relationships with the people, and he was seen as a ruler who cared more for their well-being than his own glory. Support for the common people. In addition to his military and administrative duties, Marcus also worked to improve the lives of the common people. He instituted public welfare programs, such as grain distributions, to help combat the famine caused by the plague and ensured that people from all social classes received the support they needed during times of crisis. His commitment to justice and fairness, as well as his concern for the welfare of Rome's citizens, made him a beloved figure among the Roman population. 19th. Legacy in the modern world. Enduring influence on Western civilization. The life and philosophy of Marcus Aurelius continue to have a profound impact on Western thought. His Stoic principles have been embraced by various intellectual traditions, including existentialism, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and modern psychology. His ideas on resilience, emotional control, and the importance of living in accordance with reason and virtue have made his works relevant to contemporary society. Marcus Aurelius in modern leadership. In leadership studies, Marcus Aurelius is often cited as a model of ethical and resilient leadership. His ability to govern effectively in the face of personal hardship, his commitment to justice, and his focus on the long-term good of the empire make him a timeless example for leaders in all fields. His focus on self-discipline, service to others, and the importance of living according to one's values continue to influence leaders today.